Greetings, my friends, and welcome to Hints and Tips for Better Bangles, brought to you by tinypandora.com. You know, I'm a lover of bangles. I love making them. I love giving them to people. And today I'm making some for Jolene, who's going to be 3 years old. She's my little granddaughter. So I'm using my Easy Bangles Trio set. That's those little forms there. I'm using the smallest one for her today. I use the medium one for myself. The large fits just about everybody else. And the templates come with the Easy Bangles kit. So you'll see why I use them. Having them be clear helps. And if you don't have them, just use a ruler. But I like them because I can see the cane through them and I can see other designs through them when I need to. So I'm going to cut 2 strips on this number 1 sheet. Number 1 is the thickest that I have on mine. And I'm going to cut these 2 half-inch strips. I want a narrow bracelet since it's for a little one. But you could make the bracelet any width that you want. And for the third piece, I'm going to use a 3/4 inch. So the templates are made graduate up in size. And the reason is because that 3/4 inch wide strip is going to be the part that goes around the outside. It's going to have to go over the edges of the bangle, and so it needs to be a little bit wider than the base strip or the inside strip. So that leaves us with these. I'm going to start this one. It's still on a number 1 setting. I haven't changed the thickness on that, but you can as you go, and you'll see why you might want to. But I like to lay it right along the edge of the cutter, because that way I can see if I've got it nice and flush and even. So take your time laying it out. It'll all be covered up in the end, so that can be scrap or, you know, all kinds of stuff you can use for your base. And none of it's going to show, actually. I was using a 2-ounce package of clay, and I'll have quite a bit left, but of course this is a really small, small bangle too. So close up your seam like that. I gave it a little angle on the cut, and then slip one edge under the other. I think it makes a nice join. I put a little bit of Bacon Bond or translucent liquid Sculpey or liquid clay over that seam, because it's so far it's really worked for me to keep it from separating when I take it off the cutter. Now listen, if you're taking it off the cutter, if you wait long enough and it's cooled off and you use this little bit of adhesive, I think you won't have any problems. But if you are taking it off of your form and it breaks, just glue it back with super glue. It's going to be completely encapsulated. Just bake that up for about half an hour. You don't need to bake it a long time, so we're going to bake it again. So I've got this little bitty cane. You'd think, oh my God, throw it away, it's so small. But it's just exactly the right size to make a tiny bangle. And you might find a lot of those laying around your house, tiny pieces, and you think, oh my gosh, what good are they? You can make a lot of stuff with them. So those are only about a 1/2 inch square. And I'm cutting them very thin because it is so small. If you have trouble with thin slices, you use a bigger cane and make them a little bit thicker if that helps you. It still turns out pretty. So you figure for 6.5, 7 inches, I need 13, 14 slices, which I will get. And I've got my little aces in the hole over there that I cut a minute ago before I started. I was just trimming this cane up and I thought, oh, those aren't bad slices. I'll keep them. So you see how the cutting process kind of flattens out the pieces, kind of makes them a little bit rectangular. That really works too, so don't worry about that. If you are really trying to retain the shape of your slices, you can refrigerate the cane before you cut it. But this isn't a very fussy project. It's really kind of easy. So I'm just squaring that back up. Now it doesn't have to be completely square, but I'm trying to keep the corners straight because those sides are where I'm going to join one piece to the other. So I don't want them to be too sloped in. You know, I want them to line up as best I can. I'm starting in the middle of my strip. It's in the center of it and in the middle of it because I want there to be room on each side of that. Because as we smooth it, it spreads out a little bit and you need some place for it to go. And that's another reason that you cut your top strip a little bit wider. Gives you room to work on laying out your cane. Of course, these bracelets are beautiful, silk screened, makume gane, just textured. You can paint them with alcohol ink. I think I've made every bracelet I could think of so far, and all those techniques are really fun. So now I'm just matching the pattern. It's a little small for you to see, but it kind of makes a linked pattern that I really like. So I'm just matching up the sides, making sure that it flows. I'm going to pop this last piece on and trim it off. And you'll really not even notice where they're joined in the end. Okay, in order to shave it down or even it out, I'm going to turn it toward me so I can bring the blade toward me. So I want it to be long ways and kind of even. And now I can feel with my fingers where I need to take out a little bit of bulk. So, your slices are never going to be perfect, and they don't have to be. That's about the only time I use a tissue blade is for this, for the shaving. So just rock your blade and don't dig it in too far. Just let it sit on the edge of the high spot. And when you do this, it's going to save you tons of sanding on all your projects, really, but especially this. Because, if you just baked it up like this, then you're going to have to deal with that. And I don't know, I'm not a real big sander, so I'd rather do this. And you want to do everything you can to your piece to perfect it before you bake it. So I'm spreading those slices out a little bit, making sure all the corners are touching. I don't have any open areas. Now I can turn it back sideways to roll on it a little bit and to use my deli sheets on it. That's going to take out, excuse me, that's going to take out any texture that might remain there. Sorry about the allergies, you guys. I think everybody that knows me knows I'm the allergy queen. It's my identity now. Okay, so you see how it spread a little bit by itself even? It got a little bit bigger than that 3/4. That's what they do, and that's why you just want to start with enough room to get your pattern laid down and to trim it back like this, and then it'll be just the right size for your bracelet. I'm going to do the interior with this texture sheet. And usually I lay my clay on top of the texture sheet, but this one's really thin. I took it down to a 4, and then I recut it with that little template. And I'll probably cut it again because see how even putting that pressure on it to emboss it, kind of thins it out a little bit. So go by your templates. You'll know they're going to fit if you recut them to fit. Now that's what I do. And that's going to be the interior of this one. So I'm going to set that aside. And our little band is cooked and cooled. Be sure it's cool because almost anything will break if it's warm. Boy, I've done that before, haven't you? Just thinking, oh, check this out. There it goes. Well, you just really want to make sure everything's cool before you try to remove it. And what I did is just push it up and down a little bit, and that breaks the suction. Then I'm able to just pull it off. So I'm pretty fixed up. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, well, I lost all the footage of putting this bracelet together. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, I did. But there it is all together, so I thought I better hook you up, and I made it over again. That's what that blue cane is. Okay, let's start over. So I've got a blue base now that I made. You see that this one was done with the texture sheet that I showed you, and that this one is done with some marble that's with some scrap. It was just really pretty scrap, so I put it on the inside there. And this one's going to be done with a piece of silkscreen interior. So I just wanted to show you that since I had to make it over anyway. I thought, oh, wouldn't that be pretty if it were silkscreen? And I've got a lot of videos on silkscreening. That one's by Mary Joy Coleman, and I'll give you a link. It's called Leaves and Vines. It's a real small scale, and I've used it over and over, and it's really, really pretty in a lot of items. So I've got some TLS, translucent liquid Sculpey, and I'm going to put it on the outside and on the edges. Don't forget to put them on the edges, okay? I didn't show you that part, but you're going to need it because you're going to be bending those edges to cover. And that strip is just the way I like it. I don't want to have to start cutting through things at this point and making big dents, so I do cut my top sheet just slightly short so that I can bring it in smoothly. Then you start bending down the edges. It's really getting exciting at this point because it's starting to be really bracelety now. So just pinch them. See how I'm thinning them out a little bit? And then I'm sloping them inward. That's just a little fondant mold, but it's a really good place to set your bracelet down on because it's rubbery, and you won't accidentally press too hard on the glass or anything. So that's wrapped around. It's bent inward. It's cups by itself over the edge. It looks good. And now I'm going to put my interior in. Now you can bake this. I think I did actually. I baked this for about a half an hour before I put the liner in. But on that first one I didn't. I put the liner in and did it in one bake. So it just depends on how it feels to you. Either way works out fine. But I did have some wait time on having to recut this video, so I went ahead and baked it, and now I can handle it more easily while I put the strip in. And see how it really, really fits? That's because it's the exact size of the original base. So that's really going to be helpful to you because you don't want to start having to run your blade around this thing too much at this point. It's already the way you want it. So for this one, you just want to get a nice clean cut, match up your edges. It'll be fine. And I cut them all, as I said, just slightly short so I can just bring them together gently without having a bump there or have to keep cutting on it. The less that you have to do that, the better. And I've got my signature cane there that I can put over the seam or not. I signed these because, as I said, they're for posterity. They're for my granddaughter. So I put my signature cane inside there. When you get to this part, make sure that you just press upward on those edges and fills in the gap between the outside and the inside, and it really turns out well. So we've got 3 bracelets. Hey, I think that worked out fine. That green one has deep shine on it. I think it turned out really pretty. Those are for her birthstone peridot. And that one got deep shine. I hope you like it, and thanks for coming.